Challenge yourself. Inspire the world.
Hey Maria Dmitry, welcome to the Challenge and Inspire podcast. Nice to have you sit with me today and have a nice conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, you're two of a handful of people on Upwork that really made my job not just easier, but for me personally and for my team, upgraded the whole experience that we were offering in the community. So I really wanted to try and show a glimpse of what's happening on the back end on Upwork. So to start off this conversation, can you each share your journey at Upwork? How did you start on Odesk and how has your role evolved over the years? Maria, you can go first.
Thank you. I found about Odesk by accident. Like when the financial regression happened in Greece about 15 years ago or so, and I was let go of my laboratory work that I was doing here, plus I lost the scholarship for my PhD. I had to look for other means. And then a cousin of mine that was at that time living in Ireland, they told me that they use this company called Odesk to do translations in many languages about the content that they upload to their website. So she suggested that I go and check it out and create a profile there because my English was good. So that's what happened, and after about 2-3 months I landed my first data entry job at $2 per hour, and I was able to increase that slowly, and about 7 months later I was sourced and recruited for I don't know if you remember the team, the White Glove team, the team that was supposed to take new customers and walk them hand in hand to the product, especially clients. So, but then they decided that they didn't want me for that team and they wanted me for the recruiting team. And that's where I moved. Then I moved to phone support. Then I moved to the quality assurance, quality experience team for customer support. Then I moved to the executive escalations. Did I miss a team? Wait, I think I missed. No, and then I moved as a senior agents lead and incident manager coordinator on the part of customer support, of course. That was my last role with Upwork.
Okay, so just to clarify, basically you were at the forefront of not only resolving the immediate issues and improving customer experience, but also addressing the root cause of the problem and helping update internally the processes, improve the product.
With the communications between the involved teams. So customer support which needed to be on alert to share the right information with the users. Technical support, of course, that would help us escalate, or sometimes we would do it at the same time, escalate to the site reliability engineers and them bring in the people on call from the respective team that they would identify the root cause with the help of technical support. In most cases, technical support would identify it first because they would see things coming, because not everything had it's a green, red flag, Dmitry, what they put on, to identify issues, and managing the communications. And at sometimes when we had to make a decision like make a temporary fix so that people can work and then devote time on the permanent fix, but there were risks of other bugs getting introduced or other codes being blocked, or giving it time for a permanent fix, then I had the responsibility and authority to direct them on which path they should choose. So I was given that, I think, responsibility, because at the end of the day, I would be questioned about the path that was chosen. But I've never been questioned for a resolution that I suggested, if there were more than one at the
Yeah.
table.
No, because I had first-hand experience with your type of case management. I can say that you kind of handle the most complicated customer issues, which were like escalated from the highest end, or were like publicly the most visible ones. So yeah, definitely as part of the executive escalations team, really important
Yes,
call.
we were dealing
call.
with social media escalations, legal escalations, self-harm escalations, and we once received a self-harm escalation. So it was a deep fake video, but they had to discern that that was the toughest of experiences that we all as a team had, and everyone involved, because in every case it was just threats and sorrow and disappointment, and with talking to people nicely, being kind with them, it would resolve. But that was the case that had us, everyone, like on our toes.
Okay, Dmitry, how was your journey like on Upwork?
Yeah, may I ask a question related to the history of engagement for Maria? I mean, you mentioned that you started for data entry job for $2 per hour, and how did it move to Odesk or Upwork internal? So how did you get to the internal teams?
I'm the kind of person that likes to learn more. So whenever a new role would open and I thought it would be good for me, even if I didn't have the skills at the time, I would go after it. And I wouldn't be soft about it, so I would message, what's up, is there an update? Are we having an interview? I was not very, I just sent my request and let it be. But for the executive escalations role, it was our manager at the time that she was managing the customer experience team and the executive escalations team, Amanda James, at the time. And she was practically pushing me for a year to move from one team to the other. And I was telling her, let me be a good person. I don't want to deal with that serious type of things, and said that you will nail it. And then one day she moved me and she announced to everyone that this is your new colleague. And that was it, yeah. So most of the decisions I made for myself were introduced to me.
Okay, I mean, the first job at Odesk, was it already with the internal Odesk?
Oh no! It was with many clients distributed like wherever.
Was it
like
just by chance that you found opening by Upwork itself? Or
I
Odesk
was
itself?
I was invited to the
So someone invited you.
yes
Okay. I
to
see.
the opening.
Yeah, because these days I'm not being invited. All during all these years, my profile was private. It's natural. I think we are required to keep profiles private. And now I made it public. It shows all my earnings, all my stars, but not getting any invitations. And the same about LinkedIn. So people say that if they are invited in LinkedIn, the chances they are hired are much higher. But I am not being invited, so I send my resume to job advertisements in LinkedIn, and no result yet. So I am waiting when they start inviting me. Maybe I need to do something. Okay. So now about me, right? When I
Yeah.
started. Okay, so I remember the year, it was 2003, and then I tried to find any signs of it in my emails, and I couldn't. The earliest email I found was from 2006, and it was already about something going on. It was not about like welcome to the team. I think I lost it maybe on some other computer because I didn't have Gmail that time. But yeah, I started when Odesk just formed, and a friend of mine invited me. I didn't freelance before that, so I only participated in one small project in Perl language, and we did it together with my friend, and we were paid like $300 for 2 months of work together. So it was like tiny payment, but yeah, I was doing it because I liked communicating in English. Chance of chatting with someone in English looked great for me. Yeah. So then the same friend got some invitation to Odesk because he was more experienced than I. But he didn't like the idea of being tracked by the tracker, the Odesk tracker. And he showed it to me, like, do you want to join maybe? And I said, yeah, but I don't know many things, but okay, I tried, and they accepted. So they said, okay, let's start. And yeah, and then I gradually gained experience. It was a completely different system, or maybe it was no system at all when I joined it, because the first task was to create a link checker program, the program which will just crawl Odesk website, internal website, and find links which were not working. The second task was completely different, to find people in Russian and Ukrainian and Belarusian segment of internet, find people looking for work, like manually. At some point, Stratis suggested to involve my wife. She was not, Julia was not my wife at that moment, but we started, like, we had 2 computers in our rented flat, and she was doing the initial search and passed resumes to me, the links. I was sending emails on behalf of Stratis, scientist Stratis, and then I was sending Stratis some file back through email. There was no online database at the time, and I think that some of these people are still with Upwork, because yeah, I remember maybe 10 years ago I saw some names which were familiar, because I was sending them, and then I was interviewing them. It was very embarrassing because I had to speak English, at least first several like sentences, and then in most cases we agreed, like, okay, let's switch Russian because it was cumbersome to me to speak in English, and yeah. But that was the second task. And then of course, this phase was over. We published the website with advertisement, and some people started discovering it and register and so on. And gradually it evolved to some support roles. And yeah, and then it was growing. So I was within the organization from the very beginning. I did not do. I did couple of external projects in Odesk and in Upwork, I agreed it with my managers, like, are you okay if I get some side project during my work? They said okay, as long as it doesn't interfere with your main job function, please. And after the layoff, I found one project for $50. It was like, maybe I I I don't need to have it in my profile because it like goes in a different direction. But yeah, my profile is unfortunately not looking good because all the titles are very cryptic. Like, I don't have meaningful titles. I have 5 stars feedback. My earnings are shown, but the projects are all private, and the titles are product architect. I'm not saying anything about my specifics. So maybe because of that, I'm not being invited in Upwork as well.
Well, when it comes to those role names and titles, like mine are also ambiguous. For example, customer experience specialist and stuff like that, which isn't really insightful. But just to clarify and to share with everybody, Dmitry, you were the technical support team manager. You managed 14 engineers on Upwork, and you were like the connection point between customer support, development, QA, product teams, other customer facing teams. So from my end, I know how much you helped my team in being able to better manage reports about technical issues, about certain problems they were having, especially with troubleshooting those issues, especially internally, especially in a shorter time frame. So all that we were able to do as the community team in sharing timely information publicly, which was really important since our updates were seen by a lot of people since the community forums were indexed in Google. I feel that we were able to create a better customer experience and not just be like a bulletin board. And also, I feel that the feedback we channeled through funnels that you created, similar to Maria. We were able to channel that feedback much more efficiently, and certain issues or certain product feedback was looked at much faster than it would have been otherwise. So that was the crucial role you had for my team, the former community team on Upwork. So yeah, thanks for sharing your journey. And you've been like 20 years with Upwork, right?
Yes, something like that. Maybe we shouldn't count the very first years because it was not technical, not maybe productive, but still, 20 years.
Well, you were there from the get-go, so you were there from like the initial Odesk journey before growing and before Upwork becoming the premier freelancing platform. So you definitely have a lot of history insight. Maria, you mentioned Amanda James and the role she had in you becoming part of the executive escalations team and fulfilling your potential, basically. I had a similar experience as you in being invited to join Elance. I was on the Elance side. And also Garner and Lena played a crucial role in kind of pushing Valeria and me and other team members, but especially Valeria and me, in taking more roles, taking more responsibility, trusting ourselves, and having a trust in us that we can fill those roles competently. So Maria, apart from Amanda James, did you have any other, or you can even share a little bit more about Amanda, because I love Amanda James. have you had any other mentors or team members who significantly influenced your career at Upwork?
Yes, I did. First of them all is Petra. She was my second team lead at phone support. So, because I didn't start from phone support, she was the team lead of a second team that I joined. So phone support, but she was actually the first team lead. It was the first time to realize what it means to be led, what it means to be, trained, advised, guarded, disciplined, everything that makes the good and the, tough parts that make a lead. So I was practically not moving from talent services to phone support. I had decided to let go of online work after doing it for about a year and a half. And then Petra caught me and said, "No, you're not going anywhere. You like talking, so I'm gonna get you to phone support." So she was the one that actually
Classic Petra.
grabbed me when I was ready to, step to the, in office work again. And so, yeah, I'm forever grateful to her because she saw something in me that I wasn't able to see at that age. Because I come from a completely different background. So I've studied physics and environmental sciences, and I was working at microbiological, laboratories, being the one, in charge for maintaining the system, the ISOs, the controls, the blind tests, everything that needs to be held, and also train people. I was specialized in ecotoxicology and, food analysis, water analysis, things like that. So I had absolutely no idea about what customer support is and how, apart from when I was meeting a customer to take their samples, speak with them, get what they need, write them down and things like that. And she saw something in me that I had no idea that I could ever, manage, and she grabbed me by the heels and kept me there. So that was the first one. Amanda James was the second, where she was pushing me to higher roles all the time. I remember her asking me to be a team lead, like, I don't know, before joining the executive escalations team. And at that time, the lead role on Upwork, it was mostly bureaucratic. So it was not so much as it evolved in the years of, training your people, giving them feedback, working on their weaknesses. At that time, it was mostly like maintaining the calendar, who got in late, who left early, who took an overlunch. It was more like a timekeeper and shift keeper and things like that. So it didn't really interest me. And then she dragged me after like 6 months to a year of pushing. She dragged me to the executive escalations team. Which I'm forever grateful to her because it brought out skills out of me that I didn't know that existed. So I didn't know that I could handle stress so well, that I was a person that would not get stressed. Because in my real life, like even the tiniest bit of the structure used to cause me, feeling weird. But I saw that if you organize and prioritize, you can go through the toughest of escalations and situations without being stressed and overwhelmed. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned organize and prioritize and communicate clearly if you can't handle something. So that was something that Amanda brought out of me, because no matter how hard the situation was, she would say, talk to me. Well, like, what's the matter? Like, oh, well, we will work it out. Don't worry. Like, don't worry, we will work it out. Don't worry, we will work it out. I don't know if she was burning inside, but she would always be like, it will pass. Like, don't worry. And then, of course, it was our director, Mrs. Appelberg. For her, for me, it was like a mother through all the years that we were working. I got to meet with her about when she was 2 months in her role. And I have to admit that our first discussion was a very heated one, because it was not the type of person that would keep my mouth shut and not voice my opinion. Of course, in a professional matter, I would not be vulgar or anything. But I wasn't soft about my opinion. And she let me the room to vent. She never interrupted me. She listened to me very carefully. She took in all the feedback and responded back with such kindness that I was amazed that someone, in a director position from a high standard, studies and things like that would be so approachable. And I had her as my guardian angel all the years, through health issues, through my efforts to get pregnant and my fertility treatments, where she would sign off any need that I would have to take out a few hours here or a few days there. Because you know how difficult it is, like you have to have pre-approved leaves, you have to have things like that. But she has given me she has talked with all my leads and managers that she has the green light for me. She needs it, she will take it. And she was like the most heartwarming person that I've ever met, although she had to make tough decisions in her role. I don't remember if you recall, like whenever a tough decision had to be made, it would be communicated with such kindness and such understanding. There would be 1 or 2 paragraphs about the people that were terminated, explaining how much they offered to the team, and how much a tough decision that was. So it wasn't something like, we want to let you know Maria is out, for example, and you will report to that person now. She would take the respect and the time to, communicate properly. And that is what really changed me into being a more thoughtful and kind person, because I saw it in practice. And although when situations are urgent and I would communicate fast, and when you communicate fast, you don't have the time because for niceties, but I would always, after everything would come, I would always use it and thank everybody and speak to them in private. Because that was the one thing that I learned from her, kindness and respect. Because at the end of the day, you need to come to work with a smile on your face every day if you want to be happy, because you spend a third of your day in work. Those are the 3 people: Petra, Amanda, and Missal.
Definitely, I can relate, because I think the community team was blessed with really thoughtful and productive managers, and especially when it comes to the experience you had in your times of need. I can especially say that, like, Lena and Kira and Valeria, and especially Bethany Joy Clark, were really crucial for those times from me personally.
Yeah, and Valeria when I joined the phone support team, Valeria was my trainer. You know, back then we didn't have those training programs that are so great now. So Valeria was my trainer and the one that I was shadowing in, and Petra has seen potential in Valeria, and she had nudged her and saw her the way to community, which like led Valeria to become what, a community director?
Yeah, I think her final
To
role.
become an
Yes, yeah.
FTE, an employee of Upwork, like in America. She was at the time, you know, in Italy.
Petra was, yeah.
Petra and Valeria, at the time they were in Italy, and she evolved. She moved to the States, and so yeah, it was like.
I think Valeria was in Ukraine, but I might be wrong. I don't
Oh,
know.
Ilenia was in Italy. Yes, yes, yes. Valeria was in Ukraine. Yeah, but I want to see that Petra would see someone and would think of them that maybe they could do something better in another role, and she wouldn't drag them back. She would like push them to fly
Yeah.
and make the connections. She wasn't the type of person like you do a good job, why lose you. She was quite the opposite.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So, Dmitry, when it comes to the whole technical support, engineering, and those backend teams, is there anybody that specifically impacted your growth on Upwork or pushed you in the way that Maria and I received support from our managers and team members?
Yeah, I remember that first this team was led, not led, like it was always led by me, technically, but my manager was Stratis first, and then it lasted until he started doing some strategic things in development and became completely inaccessible for me. So I was doing on my own, and then I remember very well that Deborah, right? She was managing support and QA probably, and she introduced that follow the sun concept. So we started supporting 24 hours, 7 days, and we started hiring people outside my time zone, because first people who came to help me were people who I brought from my network, like my former colleagues, friends, people who I knew and I was sure that they could do the job properly. I trained them, and then we started hiring people from New Zealand, Korea, and then when the merger happened, people from Bolivia joined it, and it was a completely like fresh experience. My last manager, Lam, he said that everybody in the company was happy with technical support, like, and no changes were needed. Just do your job as you are doing now. We won't change anything in your processes and things like that. And yeah, I liked it, but maybe I still needed that type of manager, as Maria mentioned that her manager was pushing her to another positions, to another roles, and like I was not pushed. My role even was maybe a bit downgraded when Gabriel was appointed the manager of technical support, and my role was something unclear, like technical manager of Upwork, technical support. And yeah, maybe I needed some sort of manager, because I was not able to manage myself properly and grow properly. So my growth was organic. So I was growing with the product evolved, and I had to gain new knowledge.
Okay. Well, I can definitely share from my end. Maybe you haven't had mentors, so-called mentors, that Maria and I had, but you definitely were one of the mentors for me. And I'm sure you impacted other team members' lives because you manage such a large team and you communicated with even the wider Upwork team. So I guess you had that role for others, because I know that I did make some technical improvements and gain some knowledge after speaking with you regarding certain procedures and troubleshooting certain issues, because I was then able to troubleshoot, although a small part, but directly. And that's what we kind of shared with the community team internally with Valeria, creating those training procedures and materials, which was really, really fun and new experience. Okay, so...
Can I say something?
Sure,
Because
Maria.
I have to say that about Dmitry, because now I notice that he has low self-perspective. Like Dmitry, you were the go-to person for almost everybody. I don't know if you realize, it seems like you don't. Like when something was troubling us and we were all talking, everybody in technical support, in trust and safety, whether it was about sudo, whether it was about obo, whether it was about the time tracker or anything, we would say, like, nobody understands. We're explaining, no, whom are we going to go that will understand what we're saying? And it was the only name that was available in everyone's mind was yours. So I think you haven't given yourself enough credit for what your presence and what your curiosity about everything that was happening meant to everybody else, because you wouldn't just say, okay, drop me a line and I will take it whenever. You would focus on it, you would do everything to, identify the root cause. And I think what you have never realized is, I believe that why you were so good at what you did, except from your natural curiosity, of course, and eagerness to help and being very smart, is that you had everything on your head from the beginning. So I think that all the layerings of the knowledge from the beginning of the creation of Odesk to where it had become before everybody's access to was removed, is that you had this thing where you could identify at which level you had to search and which specific people you had to call out. And I've seen you in engineering rooms practically handing them over what causes the issue for them to work on the solution. So I think you need to give yourself a little bit more credit about what you meant to people from other teams internally, because I don't think that you do that, but you give yourself the credit for everything, for all you have done.
Thank you, but now I'm struggling with utilizing this respect from other people to find my new job, and my experience in Upwork and Odesk cannot be transferred to a new company easily, because and the fact that I was taking any case and trying to resolve it as soon as possible was also like maybe one of negative points, because I was bad in planning.
Yes,
so I
but
was ready
you have
to take everything.
You have skills that you don't realize. Like you have
Yeah.
skills in communicating resolution, in gathering people together to identify the root cause, in being proactive, your proactiveness, your cross-functional collaboration, cross-functional leadership. Those are skills that you don't realize that you maintain. So it's not about knowing code and how to write code and how to fix bugs. It's how to make people work together to do those things. So you could go after cross-functional leadership roles. You could go after anything that has to do with escalations, communications, incident resolution, anything like that. Those are skills that you have, just that you don't realize them. You don't realize that you have those skills. So it's not just about getting a coding job.
Right, I cannot code. Maybe part of that success was due to the fact that I was with the company for a long time, and I knew many people, and some of them were also old-timers, and I could communicate with them easily and openly, and I knew who was responsible for this part and that part. So that's why if I come to a new company,
you will learn that.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is because it was you. You had the right approach, so people wanted to communicate with you, wanted to work with you and help resolve issues. So give yourself a little bit more credit. It's not because you were old in the company. There are many people that are old in the company and only have a circle of 3-4 people that they talk to. And then they say, oh, you want that matter? Write to that person to help you. So no, you need to give yourself more credit. You have skills that you don't realize, and we have to give you a list of skills that you don't realize.
You were taking accountability for everything, even personally.
Yeah.
So that's also what was kind of the hallmark. Because at that time, I wasn't like a team manager, I wasn't even a team lead, I was just a moderator on the community team, and I had really great experience in communicating with you, because as Maria said, you were always responding, and you were always escalating, and you were really efficient with your time and with your communication. So you were always open, and you were making everybody else better, and to Maria's point, you weren't like siloing communication. You weren't creating processes and procedures that that's the thing now and the trend. You're kind of taking problems head on directly and getting them resolved and getting everybody involved in a least amount of time. So that might not be a skill you can easily add a tag for on your profile, but that's really recognizable by any like more astute managers or company HRs or whatever. So that you're definitely downplaying your role, Dmitry. So
I do have some how it's called, not references, but in LinkedIn, when people leave feedback for other LinkedIn.
Yeah, I would take you for a cross-functional team lead and incident manager.
Yeah. Maybe I will need to add more skills like cross-functioning, cross team.
Maybe we need to prepare you a list of things that you don't realize that you're good at, or that you consider them natural to be good at. And it's not a skill.
That's what I also find in people, is that especially freelancers, internally and externally, like sometimes people are not aware and take their strong points as something really common, that take it for granted. And that's something that I always try to highlight when speaking, especially with freelancers, because I can identify what they are great at, and they're usually not aware of it. So okay. So both of you witnessed a significant changes at Upwork over the years. Can you share any particular achievement in Upwork that you're especially proud of?
Achievement, like my personal achievement?
Like personal achievement on Upwork, any achievement that you were kind of responsible for as part of your team or as part of your any personal project. It can be even a milestone related to like the whole evolving experience of Upwork. Dmitry, I already know that you won't take credit for anything. So
Oh, really? I can't remember now. I mean, we were just following the changes. So changes were happening. We could not affect them, and they came like this feature, and oh, this is not good. Why they are doing it? But okay, we need to support it. It's complicating things. Did you ask like community before introducing it? Because I know that there is such a slogan like don't touch anything that it's working.
that isn't broken, yeah.
Yeah, it isn't broken. Yeah, I think that there are some good things, of course, but they are not our achievements, our credits. So we were just doing that support, and that's all.
Do you then have any like memorable milestone to call out when it comes to the like the Upwork journey and with all the changes? Anything that you might not be taking credit of, but that you're like proud of in terms
Yeah.
like of your team's role in
Yeah,
achieving that
I
milestone?
remember when we introduced problem tickets, and
Okay.
first thing it was looking like completely different direction. I mean, we were working with every ticket, every user in technical support, and then we were told that now we are creating problem tickets, and technical support will own problem tickets, and we will not maybe even check individual tickets. At the end, I think that another option came in that problem tickets are owned by customer support and not technical support. So that was also something like frustrating. But I think that it was still necessary to do this separation, like user tickets, problem tickets, and all this grouping, because the number of tickets was growing tremendously, especially during incidents, and it was the right thing to do. But I remember that when it was presented to us and we were required to change our processes, it was like a big negative attitude from me personally.
No, okay. Any any achievements that you'd like to call out, Maria?
It's that about problem tickets moving from technical support to customer support happened around my time moving to a team lead role, and like we had very in-depth conversations with Dmitry about that change. That he was trying to understand the meaning of this, and why it was happening, and like gladly with all the years we had the ability to communicate very clearly between ourselves and even joke, about it, and because that was a huge change. And the thing is that, okay, it was communicated between us and between technical support. It was tough for technical support, but it was never communicated with the developers.
Yeah, different teams had different rules and different automations, and for some
Yes.
team, yeah, the ticket was solved and closed, but it didn't mean the same thing.
And we would do the same. So yeah, that was like a challenging part for everybody. But he was one of technical support that we were talking that was open to it and with understanding and always kind. But not the same as everybody else, if I may say so. And for me, moment that I can, because I have many moments and many things, but fortunately I can't share them, The one that I can share is when I was on phone support team, and it was the day of so after the merger of Freelancer and Odesk, where we were Freelancer Odesk, it was the day that Upwork would be released to the world. So it would be about 2 hours that everything would be shut down, and then when it would be brought up, it would be when you would type odesk.com, and it would take you to upwork.com, and it would have a tiny text below the login saying formerly Odesk, like, and people were calling the first few hours screaming why the site is down, what's happening, and things like that. And then they would call and say, you're hacked, and we're not putting our login credentials to that site. Somebody hacked you, and they made a redirect. And then there were people that would just the following days would just call and swear at us for the change. They didn't like the blue-white made into the green-white. They didn't like the font. And the thing is that we were blind, because at that time we had no accesses that could help us, right? Plus we had no idea, due to the secrecy of the project that was about to be updated on even the layout of Upwork, like where every tab would be and where we could find them to help customers. And then at the sunset of freelance, that it would be days after days of people calling and swearing at us for shutting down freelance. I am not going to talk about the whole migration thing and how difficult it was and the many bugs that were created. So I think that's the only one that I'm allowed to talk about, was anything that happened during the merger and during the shutdown of Odesk and Elance. That were really, it was really tough being on the phones at that time, hearing someone scream at you names because of what happened.
Shifting to a different type of topic, where do you see the future of freelancing heading in the next few years? Based on your experience on Upwork, since Upwork is the best freelancing platform at this time, and your experience as a freelancer.
Okay, with my experience, I believe, for the short term, right? Because I can't determine the long term.
Of course.
For the short term, and with the changes in politics in America, the change in going from the Democrats to the Republicans, and the opinion that Trump has made that freelancers should be for low pay jobs, and and all the insistence from companies, especially in the US, to bring people back to the offices. I think that freelancing will take a downfall for the next few years, and that's just because I think it made quite a rise during COVID. So the system has stabilized a little bit. I believe that after the downfall, it will stabilize higher than where it was before COVID, but still, I think there needs to be a downfall, and the system will stabilize a little lower, meaning that there will be, from my perspective, fewer jobs and with less pay for freelancing. Then there will be a target of jobs for hybrid, some days in the office, some days from home, because they want, the economy really wants to bring people back in the office, because when people are back in the office, people buy gas, people buy coffee, people buy lunches, they commute, so the economy moves. with something that had to stop during COVID and made that spike in freelancing, but eventually it will have a downfall, but not it will not return to where it was before COVID. It will still maintain a higher level, and I think that as the younger people come to market, where those people will start creating their own businesses, and they were people that have experienced COVID, have experienced studying from home or working from home, then when those people grow into business maturity and they have their own companies, from 5 years and above, I think those people will bring the freelancing up again. So the COVID children and COVID students will bring the freelancing up again.
Okay, so overall, short term, not great, long term, positive.
Short term, I see it fall, but not to where things were before COVID. And long term, I see positive because the people that have experienced that and saw the benefit and are not on their 40s or their 50s where, you feel the insecurity, the financial insecurity, and you will go with what the boss says. You want me at the office, I will come at the office. You want me hybrid, I will be hybrid. The people that will begin, their own businesses and flourish, and had the experience at the young age, and they're still fresh, young, ambitious, they will go into freelancing once again, open the freelancing business once again.
Okay. Dmitry, what's your opinion?
Yeah. I'm trying to find some projects at Upwork as well, in addition to regular job search. And I see that a lot of projects look strange. I mean, what is posted and what is suitable for me, but I don't know, are they scam or not? I'm not trying to apply to everything because it's paid besides of just spending time. And what Maria mentioned about hybrid work is not freelancing per se, right? So it's just like method of working in the office, remotely or hybrid. But freelancing is more about some like project work. The project can last several months, it can be paid hourly, but it's not employment. It's when someone hires you to do something specific. And I think that if a project lasts like maybe 6 months, it makes sense to hire on another terms, not through Upwork. Maybe Upwork has this service as well, right? For bring your own. Bring your own freelancer. It's a different thing.
Bring your own client. Contract to.
Off the network. So when you take the contract and you pay some fee to Upwork and you hire directly or something like that. And also some companies, they need services like Upwork or other companies like payroll for employer of record, right? So for paperwork, because they cannot hire people from certain countries directly, and they can do it through Upwork. But it's not efficient to do through regular Upwork contract if you want to work long term, like more than half a year or maybe more, because of the fee structure, because of I don't know, maybe not sufficient reporting for clients. But actually, I'm not sure about it. I think that freelance will be an option for young people in the future as well.
Okay.
But for my children, I would like them to start in some company in person. I don't think that starting career working like you can work on your own, of course, but you need to communicate with local people, to maybe participate in some meetups, but you shouldn't like sit in your room with a laptop and do some maybe graphical work or development work on your own from the very beginning, because you need some mentorship, you need some live communication with people. It should be necessary.
We touched base, both of you mentioned like those younger people, new freelancers, how that will impact the whole future of freelancing. Do you have any advice for those freelancers specifically who are just starting out?
You have to dream before your dream can come true, and you know, you have to try, right? Especially when you're young and you don't have as many responsibilities behind your back. Give it a shot and explore different areas. Like, for example, I came from a completely different background, and I was able to succeed in completely different roles. So don't let your studies or your degree justify who you are or what you are, because, for example, I studied physics for myself. I never wanted to be a physics teacher, although I was for a little while, but I didn't do it to go and teach kids, about gravity and things like that they do at school. I wanted to learn that for myself. So don't let a degree dictate who you are, and you dream about your future, go for it, and if you fall, get up on your feet again. And even if you're older, just if you want to change direction, just change direction. It's I've changed direction how many times? I have absolutely no ties between what I did in one role with what I did to the other role, and what I studied or what I worked for when I was, working locally. So
Yeah, you were able to adapt.
Yeah, adapt.
Okay.
And
Dmitry?
advice is to have some financial independence. I mean, you should not be living on the money which you earn and don't put aside any. You need to create some passive income, or provide yourself an ability to, in order to change direction, you need to have some money to spend a year maybe. In my case, I should supply my family, and that's why I see a lot of possibilities now in this country. I didn't, for some reason, I didn't see them before. I mean, so many enthusiastic people, young people, work in the modern directions like crypto, like AI. They create startups, they go to the States, they get some funding there, and I could join them, but they cannot pay instantly. So we need to evolve together, and then only then it can give some profit, some money. But the possibilities are very interesting, very exciting for me. And for young people, it should be, I think, the must to be involved in such activities. Because they usually advertise. There are some hubs in the city where people gather, where they organize conferences, free talks, and stuff like that, and you can choose and participate. And of course, everyone should study English. It's very important for that, for modern world.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, as we wrap up the conversation, can each of you share key takeaways from your journey at Upwork that have shaped you who you are today?
I learned to be patient. It was not a skill that I had. I don't think that I hone it 100% yet, but I learned to have patience, to, hear twice and talk once, even at times of, of urgency. And I've learned to, what I mentioned earlier, to prioritize so that I can control this. I can control my response to the situation and not get myself stressed and worn out. So those are the two things that I take: patience and situation control. Because if you don't manage to hone those two, like the tiniest change or the tiniest request or tiniest failure may drop you off and then give a bad appear as bad to your colleagues.
Thank you, Maria. Dmitry?
Yeah, so I think that I missed the point when I had to grow in some other directions at Upwork. So I was only growing in my narrow direction, and I was even trying to reject all attempts to drive to some other directions. So I liked what I was doing, but I was not thinking about the case when I lose this job and what I will be doing. So I think that I had to either grow more actively in this direction, to be more mature in people communication. So it was not as mature as I wish, because now when I see roles like head of technical support, okay, I start reading, and for example, one of the requirements is hire people, manage the salaries, and so on. I hate it. I don't like to hire, fire, and manage salaries, and I cannot do it. Yeah, so I had to adopt it, and to grow, to improve myself in these areas, to be ready to take these challenging positions in other companies. Or I had to grow technically in other directions, like DevOps, data engineering, something which is now I see a lot of openings in this, but I cannot do it. Yeah, so that was a mistake. But all in all, of course, Upwork changed my life dramatically, because it allowed me to move from the city to the country, because it allowed working remotely at the time when it was not common at all. So everyone was working in offices, almost everyone. And yeah, it was paid normally, compared to, of course, people in leading positions in offices were getting comparable money, but I was working from home. I was able to plan my time more or less, and I was getting good money. I was able to travel, to go to mountains, to supply my family, kids. So that was huge help from this type of work. And of course I gained experience, whatever it was. So now I will try to continue this direction. And yeah, thank you for calling me today. Now I gain some more self-confidence from this call and from your kind words and comments about me. And of course, thank you for all the work you were doing with me and my team in the company. It was I often asked you for help, especially Maria, because if you talk about the person to go for me in the company, it was you know, it was yeah, it was a good time.
Perfect. Well, thank you for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, guys.
For all freelancers listening in, if you'd like to engage with experienced and expert freelancers on a variety of different topics, head over to the freelancer.forum. That's freelancer.forum, and we can continue the conversation there.